Picture two investors, both 25 years old, both starting with $0. Both commit to investing $500 every single month without fail. Both earn the same 8% average annual return. There is no difference between them except one thing: the calendar. Investor A starts today. Investor B waits 5 years, then starts the exact same plan, with the exact same discipline, never missing a contribution. By age 65, Investor A has $1.75 million. Investor B, who only lost 5 years at the start, has $1.16 million. A 5-year delay at the very beginning costs nearly $600,000 by the end. Not because Investor B did anything wrong later. Not because they contributed less overall. The 5 years they lost were the most valuable 5 years either of them would ever have. This is the part almost nobody understands about building wealth. The first $100,000 you ever save is, by a wide margin, the slowest, most frustrating, least rewarding money you will ever accumulate. And it is also the single most important amount of money you will ever save in your entire life. Today I'm going to show you exactly why this is true, what's actually happening mathematically during those slow early years, and why understanding this changes how you should think about every dollar you save before you cross that first six-figure line. Let's start with why the first $100,000 feels so unbearably slow. The math here is simple, but the experience of living through it is brutal. Imagine you're saving $1,000 a month, investing it at a reasonable 8% average annual return. In your first year, you contribute $12,000. Market growth on that relatively small balance adds maybe $500 to $600 over the year. Your statement shows progress, but it's modest. Year 2 looks similar. Year 3, similar again. For the first several years, almost every dollar of growth in your account came directly from your own contributions. The market is barely participating yet, because there isn't enough money invested for the market's effect to be meaningful. This is the part that breaks people. They expect investing to feel like magic almost immediately. They've heard about compound interest, they've seen the exponential growth charts, and they assume their account should start visibly snowballing within a year or two. Instead, for years, it feels like they're just saving. The market's contribution is invisible, buried inside contributions that dwarf it. Here's the number that explains everything. To accumulate your first $100,000 investing $1,000 monthly at 8% average returns, it takes approximately 7 years. During those 7 years, you'll have contributed roughly $84,000 of your own money. The market will have added about $16,000. Your own discipline did 84% of the work. The market did 16%. Now look at what happens next. To go from $100,000 to $200,000, investing the same $1,000 monthly at the same 8% return, it takes only about 4.5 years. You'll contribute roughly $54,000 of your own money during that stretch. The market will add approximately $46,000. Suddenly the market is doing nearly as much work as you are. Go from $200,000 to $300,000, and it takes under 3 years. Your contributions matter less and less with each milestone, while the market's contribution grows larger and larger, working on an ever-expanding base. This is the entire secret hiding inside that first $100,000. It's not actually the hardest money to save because saving it is uniquely difficult. It's the hardest because it's the only stretch where you're doing almost all of the work alone. The market hasn't shown up yet in any meaningful way. You're pushing a boulder up a hill with no help, and you won't get help until there's enough mass already moving for momentum to matter. This explains a pattern that confuses almost everyone who starts investing. The first $100,000 can take 7, 8, sometimes 10 years depending on your contribution rate. The second $100,000 often takes half that time. The third less than that. By the time someone crosses $1 million, 6-figure increases can happen within a single strong market year, almost entirely from growth, with contributions becoming a smaller and smaller piece of the picture. People who quit investing early, the ones who get discouraged in years 2 or 3 and stop contributing, aren't failing because the strategy doesn't work. They're quitting during the only phase where the strategy is supposed to feel slow. They're stopping the boulder exactly when it most needs to keep moving, right before the terrain would have started working in their favor. Let me show you why this first $100,000 matters so disproportionately for your final outcome, using the actual math of compounding over time. Consider 3 people. all eventually accumulate exactly $100,000 by their contributions and growth combined. But they reach it at different ages, 28, 35, and 42. From that point forward, none of them contribute another dollar. They simply let that $100,000 sit and grow at 8% average annual returns until they turn 65. The person who hit $100,000 at 28 has 37 years of growth ahead of them. That single $100,000, untouched, becomes approximately $1.7 million by 65. The person who hit $100,000 at 35 has 30 years of growth remaining. The same $100,000 becomes approximately $1 million. The person who hit $100,000 at 42 has 23 years remaining. That same starting point becomes approximately $580,000. Same amount of money. Same return rate. The only variable is how early that first $100,000 arrived. The 7-year head start between the 28-year-old and the 35-year-old is worth roughly $700,000 by retirement, from a single lump sum that never received another dollar of new contributions. This is why the first $100,000 isn't just slow money. It's foundational money. It's the base that every future dollar compounds on top of. A dollar that joins your portfolio when you already have $100,000 invested is working inside a system that's already generating meaningful returns on its own. A dollar that joins when you have $3,000 invested is working almost entirely alone, just like all the dollars around it. Getting to that first $100,000 early isn't really about the $100,000 itself. It's about how many years that foundation gets to compound afterward. Every year you delay reaching it is a year permanently removed from the growth phase at the end of your timeline, the phase where the real money gets made. So if the first $100,000 is this important, how do you actually get through it without quitting during the slow years? A few things change how this period feels, even though they don't change the math itself. If you want to survive the slow phase without quitting, you need these 4 psychological hacks. The third one, in particular, is the reason most people actually make it. First, stop measuring progress by your account balance and start measuring it by your contribution streak. During the slow years, your balance will lie to you. It will grow slower than your effort seems to deserve. But your contribution streak, the number of consecutive months you've shown up and invested regardless of what the market did, that number never lies. It's the actual asset you're building during this phase. The $100,000 will arrive on schedule if the streak stays intact. Second, understand that market downturns during this phase are quietly working in your favor, even though they don't feel like it. When your balance is still small, a market drop means your next contributions buy in at lower prices, accumulating more shares for the same dollar amount. A 20% market decline when you have $15,000 invested barely registers in dollar terms, but it sets up outsized gains for every dollar you contribute during the recovery. This same crash would be devastating to someone with $2 million invested late in their timeline. Early on, volatility is your ally. Most people don't survive the slow years specifically because they misunderstand this and panic sell at exactly the wrong moment. Third, automate the entire process so the slow years require no ongoing willpower. The danger isn't that the math will fail you. The danger is that you'll quit emotionally before the math has a chance to work. Automatic contributions that happen before you ever see the money remove the decision entirely. You're not choosing to invest every month for 7 years. You set it up once, and the 7 years simply happen around a decision you already made. Fourth, find a way to make the milestone visible even when the dollar amount doesn't move much. Track your contribution total separately from your account balance. Watching $84,000 contributed, on track for $100,000, climb steadily provides psychological traction that a sluggish account balance can't. You're not waiting for the market to validate your effort. You're tracking the effort directly. Here's the reframe that changes everything about how this period should feel. The first $100,000 isn't slow because something is wrong. It's slow because you're building the foundation that every future dollar will stand on. Once that foundation exists, the entire physics of your money changes. Returns that once felt invisible become substantial. A single strong year in the market can add more to your balance than several years of contributions did at the start. The same effort that felt fruitless for years suddenly starts compounding into numbers that feel almost unfair in how quickly they grow. This is why people who've actually crossed 7 figures consistently describe the same experience. The first $100,000 took years and felt like nothing was happening. The jump from $900,000 to $1 million took months. The acceleration isn't luck. It's the direct mathematical consequence of surviving the unglamorous early phase that most people quit during. If you're currently in that slow phase right now, watching your account grow by hundreds of dollars a month while wondering if any of this is actually working, understand what's actually happening. You're not failing at investing. You're doing the one part of investing that's supposed to feel exactly like this. The boulder is heavy right now because you're the only one pushing it. That changes. It changes precisely because you kept pushing during the years when it didn't look like it was changing at all. The first $100,000 is the slowest money you'll ever make. It's also the only $100,000 that makes every dollar after it move faster. That's not a coincidence. That's the entire point. If you're currently in that slow phase, comment "building" below. It helps me see who's actually putting in the work. And if you're ready to see exactly where your money goes, like and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss next video.